It's pretty common when you buy a second-hand car that you're going to get things that don't work.
Yeah, like, remember that deal that I bought? And it had that big ass intercooler on it?
What was wrong with that intercooler?
Oh, well, remember, it wasn't turbo.
Oh. Anyway, in our case, we got some gauges that just don't do anything, and we're going to fix that.
I reckon someone just placed them there just to look good. Just to sell the car. Yeah. Well, it worked. And also, why? What?
I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the factory dash is black. I mean, you can get white ones, but it's black.
Yeah, I mean, everything else is black. The trim, your dash.
Yeah.
Alright, just go with black gauges instead of white.
No, but let's pull this off and see how it's done.
Alright.
We got some...
just try to rip it off. Like,
it's pretty loose.
Dude, is that just...
That's just taped in, dude. Look, there's not even any wires up here. It's... You're right, it was just sitting there for show. How would they waste so much money? I don't know.
I'm still amazed at the fact that it's tape.
I'm surprised they didn't jump out every time I fly over a speed bump.
Yeah, that is just one single line of tape and it just barely just holds it in there.
Show that to the people on YouTube. Look at that, look how dodgy that is, YouTube people.
Did you know they were in there like that?
No man, I honestly have never looked at them. Maybe I should have before I recorded this. First things first, pop the bonnet and disconnect the battery. This will prevent blown fuses further down the line. Now you can start pulling apart all your dash pieces. Start with the first overlapping piece, in our case this was the stereo. Pull that out and then place it to the side. Remember to watch out for those pesky sneaky screws. You don't want any broken plastic. These will almost always be Phillips head screws. Remember to place all those screws in a safe place. Pry up any pieces with some trim removal tools. These are a cheap insurance against damaged interiors. Bust out that Phillips head screwdriver and get busy. Remember to keep all those screws in a safe place. Be gentle when lifting up any interior pieces, and remember to remove any wiring connectors. And well, we weren't too sure what to make of this.
So we just discovered that they've actually already been wired into the car and Josh is just sorting out the wires now. So while he's doing that, I thought I'd just fit up the gauges into the shell. Everything comes with the gauges you need to fit them into the shell. They come with these U-clamps, nuts, adapters to screw on the nuts, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
It was by this stage, I decided to take a break.
I'm fresh. You gotta be fresh.
Alright guys, so we've just had a quick break and I've sorted out all the wiring in the car. Now this is the loom that comes with the gauge when you buy it. This has 5 wires, the black one's your ground wire. Your green one is your signal wire, we'll talk about that later in the show. Your white wire is your illumination wire, so you need to find 12 volts that turns on and off with the headlights. Your orange wire is your permanent 12 volts, so you need to find permanent 12 volt wire so your gauge knows what colour to stay at. And your red wire is your 12 volt ignition source, so something that turns on and off with the ignition. And that's pretty much it. 5 wires and you're done. And let's go put this in the car. Remember to slide your heat shrink on one end of the wire before you make your connection. Now we're soldering all our connections. This takes some skill to master, but definitely worth knowing if you're going to work on cars. Heat shrink is a surefire way to prevent any shorts in the future, plus it just looks boss. Now that you've soldered all your wires in, you can run them up through to the dash where your gauges will be mounted. Make sure they don't kink or rub on anything on the way up. Okay, so we've ran all our wires up to the spot where our gauges are going to be mounted. Now the next step is to install this oil pressure sensor. Now because the previous owner attempted to install this kit before, he's already mounted all our fittings and our pressure sensor in, so we don't need to do that. But in your case, you're going to need to go out and buy a T-piece so you can tee off your oil pressure sensor, and then you're going to need to get the various fittings for your type of car. You might be lucky enough to get the fittings that come with the kit to work, but in our case it was already all done, so we were lucky enough. Now you're going to want to run thread tape on all your fittings because you don't want any leaks, and that'll also throw out your sensor for the gauge. Now the tools you'll need for this are your various spinners and maybe even a shifter, but other than that it's pretty simple. So this is where the previous owner teed up his sensor. As you can see, he's placed it in line with the oil pressure switch. This is generally located around the oil filter. The oil pressure sensor requires two wires, a ground wire and a signal wire. The ground wire is grounded straight to the car. We found a factory stud and added a nut. The second wire is ran up out of sight, through the firewall and into the cabin, where as you can see, I'm wiring it up to that green wire in the loom. Now we're ready to install the vacuum gauge. The things you'll need are the line that comes with the gauge, some zip ties to hide that line, cutting tool, and maybe a screwdriver if you need to undo any clamps. You're going to want to find the vacuum source located in the engine bay. You don't want to tee off your brake booster or your injectors. You're going to want to find a line that comes off your intake manifold. Now, you can jump on some forums and find out how other people have done this, or if that doesn't work, you can do it how we've done it, like this. Okay, so this is how we determined our vacuum source. Okay, dude. Pretty simple. This is just the original vacuum hose that we've cut and just had a T-piece put in. The original T-piece we got with the gauges didn't fit. And this is the vacuum line which runs from the gauge itself down into the firewall, same places where you have your signal wire, all the way through the firewall up to the T-piece here. It's a good idea to plumb everything in and plug it all in and test it before you put the whole car back together in case you've made a mistake. So it's a moment of truth. Look at that. Now if you've made it this far, you're almost done. Just place everything back in the car the same way it came out and you'll be back on the road in no time.
Okay, so you guys thinking what we're thinking? Because we're thinking, how did the first owner stuff that up really? Like, it wasn't that hard.
I know, I reckon the problem was in the wiring.
Yeah, definitely. Did you see that, man?
Oh, I saw it, mate. I pulled the stuff out. What were you doing?
I was setting up gauges. I didn't want to look at that mess.
That's alright, man. It was pretty easy. It was an easy fix, man. If you guys follow the diagram that comes with the gauges, it's pretty simple. We used an operator's manual to work out all our wires. You can jump on forums. You can use a multimeter. A test light even works if you're real careful. It's pretty simple and it makes the car look mad.
Yeah, and a vacuum gauge is like one of the single best instruments to show you the health of your car, like what you need to be doing and be fixing it.
That's right, guys. And again, just jump on some forums, see what your car's supposed to be running at, keep it checked up. Oil pressure gauge is pretty good upgrade. In my car, and particularly with the engine that it is, it has multiple oil pressure problems. So that has to be monitored quite frequently, and now I can do that with an awesome gauge. It lights up, it even matches the factory setup. Not like them white ones that were in it.
That's right. It looks a lot better with those black gauges.
It does look a lot better.
And especially like the green, you don't need green dash. But hopefully we'll be doing a changing your whole cluster to blue instead of the green. Hopefully.
And that's right, and then once we do that, with those particular gauges, there's a little switch on the back, and you push that switch, and I think there's 5 or 6 different colours. There's red, green, blue, white, and orange. I think there's orange in there. So once we change the lights in our cluster, we got to do is pull them out, flick that switch. It's as easy as that.
Simple as.
But for now, we're going to keep it green, and now that it's dark, you guys can have a look at it at night time. Check it out.
And that's it. So like, comment, subscribe.
Booyah! Check out these mad bloopers. Died, and you won't lose anything, hopefully. Like that.
Show me potato salad.
Plug in your signal wire. This isn't really a signal wire.